Roughly was one Twitter user was predicting the Bitcoin price predictions. My best price predictions for the Bitcoins over the next 10 years. During an interview with the YouTube channels, Peter HDMDs, Michael and Peter was discussed the futures of Bitcoins, money as economic energy, how Michael would build a new world and the futures of the cyberspace.
Gold's worth $10 trillion, and that takes Bitcoin to 500,000. But when you think of it as digital property, like replacing buildings and land and other long storeholds of wealth, then, you're up by a factor of 20 or 30 from there. I mean, it should not be, it's much better than digital gold because I can move Bitcoin at the speed of light and I can program it to 1 million transactions an hour on an iPhone or a website. You can't do that with gold. So it's got more utility than gold, which means it's probably worth 20 or 30 trillion if it just replaces the gold. But instead of buying the Fontainebleau Hotel, which is a nice hotel, worth whatever billions in Miami Beach, instead of buying the equivalent amount of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin offers property rights at any scale, any amount of money, anybody in the world, and you don't have to worry about, will people like Picasso's? Will they still want buildings in Vegas or New York? Will some politician tax it away from me? Will, can I take it through an airport? So if you're looking for an egalitarian, utilitarian way for people to save money and protect their life force or protect their economic wealth for the next 100 years, and you are looking for something that's kind of consistent with the mobile wave, Android phones, iPhones, websites, that's truly global, it's more appealing to people in Nigeria and Argentina than it is appealing.
In another interview, entrepreneur Michael Saylor says the cryptocurrency will hit $65,000 within 4 years. Saylor is likely biased and his company MicroStrategy and the significant Bitcoin investment. Hello, welcome back again. In this video, we're going to be talking about price predictions of the Bitcoin. So watch the video until the end and subscribe to the Bitcoin Thinking channels. So back to the main topics, guys. Bitcoin at $65,000 implies a total market capitalizations of $10.5 trillion, equivalent to the total value of the world's gold supply. The price target that generally was regarded as one of the craziest ever at the time was the $400 prediction that the Wall Street analyst Henry Blodgett made for the Amazon back in 1998, where it was trading at $240. Back then, few foresaw that Amazon would become the juggernaut that it is today. Blogger was the off at a cold, reckless the market. Within 3 weeks, though, Amazon had blown through the $400 barrier. The rest, as they saw, is history. Michael Saylor in his epic projections for the Bitcoin. MicroStrategy founders, the executive chairman, predicting that the flagship cryptocurrency would gain its peak of almost $70,000 within 4 years and hit $500,000 within a decade in a road to the going to the value of the gold. The interview argued about the possibility of the Bitcoin falling down and his company MicroStrategy, which nearly holds 130,000 Bitcoin, could face more losses. Saylor replied to the Bitcoin was not likely plummet to zero. Furthermore, he discussed the quantum volatility is largely irrelevant.
There are two reasons. ESG, capital spending, shut down by a lot of companies in favor of dividends and share repurchases. I think that's going to change dramatically with the midterm elections. I think the spigots are going to be open and that production is going to boom to new highs here in the United States. And then the other two top performers, utilities and staples, both down 7 to 8%. And then on the negative side, we have year to date comm services. Of course, the Meta was the poster child this year, down 44%. Consumer discretionary down 35%, tech down 32%. In the bond market, we're getting some indicators. We now have the yield curve down more than 50 basis points. And here's another case in point where I think people are saying, oh, but the base was so low, going up from 0.25% to 4% in the Fed funds rate. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal. In economics, activity is determined at the margin. You take a a price up that dramatically, or a cost up that dramatically, 16-fold, there are going to be serious ramifications, and we think they're upon us. And advertising is the first category.
During an interview with the YouTube channel official Orc Invest, Cathie Wood was in an effect of the midterm elections, today's economic landscape compared to the 70s, interest rates, and what separates truly disruptive innovations with those being disrupted. As always, she discussed fiscal policy, monetary policy, market signals, and economic indicators and innovation. In another interview, Cathie Wood, the fund managers behind Orc flagship innovations themed ETF, forecast earlier this year where the world's largest cryptocurrency would top $1 million per coin by 2030. Back in April, legendary investors Cathie Wood of Orc Invest turned heads in the crypto world with the breathtaking Bitcoin's price predicting of $1 million. That, of course, was before the market meltdown. Now, 6 months later, Orc Invest has reiterated its $1 million price target of Bitcoin. After running the numbers, the investment firm concluded that the 3 basic use cases for Bitcoin support a future market capitalization of $28 trillion or more than $1 million per Bitcoin. What's truly mind-blowing about that calculation is that the team Orc Invest arrived at the $28 trillion market cap figures by adding a new use case for Bitcoin as an insurance policy against the arbitrary asset seizure. An analyst from the Cathie Wood Orc Investment Management stands by the firm's predictions that the price of Bitcoins will surpass $1 million by the year 2030.
Of course, it seems to make no sense. Like the Fed did pretty much exactly what was telegraphed. They raised 75 basis points. They did what was expected. So what was the big kerfuffle? And the kerfuffle actually cuts both ways. When the press release from the FOMC first came out, the markets took off. They went, major green, all across the board. The major indices, gold was up, because there was the appearance of opening the door to the step down, to the slowing, the eventual slowing of the rates that everybody knew had to come sooner or later. And then, as so often happens, the moment Powell opened his mouth, the markets tanked. They went up and down. I posted a chart, and this isn't just some meme out there. I actually wrote down timestamps for when Powell said different things, watching the market go up and down. And I annotated the market turns and what Powell said that made the markets turn, which it did several times. And it ended up down. So here's my take. A lot of journalists and a lot of talking heads on Bloomberg, maybe even Kitco, other places, were asking, how is Powell going to thread this needle? On the one hand, everybody knows that the Fed can't be raising rates 75 basis points forever, but they don't want the markets to get giddy and take off, so they have to balance that in some way.
Kitco News interview. In this video, we're talking about the Fed rate hike and the market reaction, efficient markets and the investing financial markets. The Fed raised its benchmark rate on Wednesday by the 75 basis points, a move that was accompanied by the hawkish from the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell as the Fed continued to raise rates and weaken demand. This will break markets. I'll be very surprised if we go too far into 2023 before there are real signs of the pain. He said, I think we are going to be looking at large layoffs. Those really have not come yet. There will be reliance on a downward trend that I think will endure for years. Tim Draper is a founding partner of the venture capital firm Draper Fishers is still confident in its Bitcoin projections that says the crypto asset will top $250,000 per unit. Draper said in April 2018 at the Draper University blockchain party that he predicted that $250,000 by the 2022. At this year's Web Summit 2022 event, Draper said he extended his forecast by the 6 month as he now predicts Bitcoin will top that price range by mid-2023. Amid the bear market this year and speaking at the Web Summit 2022 conference, Draper said Bitcoin is essentially protections against the bad governance, while the $250,000 prediction still rings true. Draper today he added a 6 months extension to his forecast. Draper said that by May 2023, I am expecting to see Bitcoin hit $250,000. Draper explained at the Web Summit 2022 event this week. Bitcoin price predictions, Bitcoin zooms to $26,000 where it's a break $21,000 this time. Bitcoin price predictions remains bearish under the $21,000 level and bullish above the $20,300. By falling below a $21,000 a key support level, the price of Bitcoin has taken a severe hit. In the last Bitcoin, maximum trade value would be around $85,000 in the 2024 compared to the previous year. The Bitcoin price stands to the significantly increase in 2024 along with other cryptocurrency. That's it for today. If you haven't already, subscribe the Bitcoin Thinking channel and then turning on the red notifications button so you'll never miss any of our new videos like that one. So see you next time.